Now introducing a new all-inclusive magazine and brand, created with edge, molded from thought-provoking life experiences. We introduce to you Let Us Live magazine. We are a dedicated team that understands the process of life, an experience that we all face differently no matter who we are and what makes us different. We favor love, unity, and diversity, which ultimately empowers compassion, innovation, awareness, authenticity, and genuineness. If you want your story to be heard, please email us at lulmagazine13@gmail.com and let us know what you live for. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Let Us Live Magazine's YouTube channel. This is our very first episode here with CYN Roberts. How are you doing today, CYN?
I'm doing all right. Today was one of those days. So now I'm just at that nostalgica, just taking in the beautiful Florida weather, you know?
I know that's right. Well, first and foremost, I would like to say thank you so much for actually taking the time to come here and join us today. I know that you could have been doing anything else, but you decided to share your story with us. So first and foremost, on the left side, we have a piece here, which is your brand,
right?
Which everybody sees it right now. It's awesome. First and foremost, I would like to say, and can you tell us a little bit about that brand there, please?
So the whole idea about the image, I actually contacted this artist because I saw this piece and thought to myself, what a better way to brand how you've been trying to capture your words. For me, this picture stands for mental stimulation, and I feel like that's what my poetry is about. Always stimulating someone's mind, you know. I feel like I can always be that voice for people. Every situation that I go through, I know I'm not the first, so it's always good to kind of recapture moments. And for me, that comes in the form of mental stimulation. So I thought that was like the perfect brand to exploit myself.
Wow. And to be honest with you, visually, it's very, very stimulating. Mm-hmm. It definitely raises eyebrows, I'm sure, whenever whenever you're wearing it. But we appreciate creativity, so thank you so much for just doing that. That's a way of living, you know. And if you guys are aware, she does have one of our newest members, LUL Magazine shirt, because CYN is also a part of the LUL Magazine team. So thank you again for just being so transparent with us today. So let's just take it back a little bit to people that are just now looking at this video who don't know who you are. They're being introduced to CYN. Mm-hmm. But to take it back for people like me, myself, and also other close people that have known you for years, we've known you by the name Cyncelia Roberts.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about who Cyncelia Roberts is or was?
Right. So I'll take it back to when I was a kid. It's no secret, I am a lesbian at this point in time. But when I was younger, I was the only granddaughter out of 22 grandkids. So I have nothing but male cousins. Now I have a younger sister. But at that point, I was the only female just surrounded by guys. So of course, you know, I started picking up their habits, things that they were saying I thought were attractive, things that they found attractive, i.e. women, I found attractive. So as a kid, I struggled with that early, like age 5 type early. My parents saw signs, but, you know, tried to correct it in, you know, their ways. So with that, like, I went through a phase where my parents tried to, you know, force me to be a little girl, beat it out of me, different things like that, just to kind of get me back to where they felt like I should be. But even in that, when I was younger, just expressing those feelings of how weird it felt for me to be a girl and kind of think that I liked women, I just started writing about it one day, about how I felt bad, but I felt good at the same time. You know, moving along, like, I come from a military family. Both of my parents are military. My father's still in. My mom's a retired chaplain's assistant. My grandfather he's retired military. My grandmother's a teacher. My mom's an educator. So I come from a really strong background where there's love, there's support. But with every family, you know, there's different things that you encounter. Who I am as a person, Cyncelia, I've always been passionate. I've always been social, friendly. I could walk into a crowd of strangers and come out with at least 5 newfound friends. I've always been like that. I keep in touch with people over the years because I'm just so friendly. I've always been free. I have no coof about myself. Anything that comes to this mind, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say it unless I'm in church. Then I might hold back, you know. But I'm just a free spirit, a poet. I joined the military. I have a degree in English professional writing. I am 1 course away from having my master's in teacher leadership.
Wow,
I've been a teacher. Thank you. I did the military for a couple of years. I've done sales, just different things like that. The lesbian poet is, you know, kind of how people tried to coin me and box me in at one point, but it's so much more to me than that.
Wow. And that's actually, in a nutshell, to be honest with you, you know, we can go on about a lot of different things, but that honestly is somebody that I've been able to kind of connect with as well, you know, especially moving here. So thank you so much for just being open about Cyncelia, you know. And guys, there's more to her, you know. Of course, we, you know, have a time frame, but we want to make sure that you guys are able to see who she is. And then we'll talk about the she part as the pronouns change and everything like that. But we just want to kind of give you guys a backstory as to who Cyncelia is. Now, when you say family, to you, what does the word family mean to you?
Family for me is everything. My parents divorced young. So I experienced the 2 household thing. So for me as an adult, family is that close-knit, being able to go home to that one person. And then when there's children involved, you know, sisters, cousins, brothers, like just that close-knit of, you know, keeping communication. You know, we live in a millennial world now where everything's so fast. Everybody always has a cell phone in their hands, as you know, some type of electronics. But I feel like for me, family is that closeness away from everything else that's going on in the world. Just being there, communicating, loving, you know, going through stuff and being able to pull back and come from that. That's family for me. Okay,
that's awesome. Now, would you say your mom and your dad were a strong household when you were coming up as a young child, or do you think
individually?
Okay.
Individually, yeah. Cohesively, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that may have played a part in who you are as well today?
Yeah, I always said, like, no matter what I do in life, I always want to take it another step from what my parents were able to provide for me. You know, everything wasn't always perfect. So, you know, I've gone through situations. I've gone through, you know, time spells where there wasn't food in the house. You know, times where the lights may have been off. You know, trying to just figure out, my mom's working these long shifts, my dad's living in another state because she's stationed somewhere. I just always said my family was going to be better than what I experienced.
Okay. And so, like, some of your work, as you stated, you know what I'm saying, with the poetry and everything, and, you know, now that you have a vision and now that you're pushing forward in your vision, it's becoming a little bit easier. But would you say that you've pulled from different experiences in your life to create your poetry?
Absolutely. I once read this quote, and it said, "Don't date a writer unless you want to become material."
Oh, wow.
And that stuck with me for a long time because it's really real. A lot of things that I write about are things that I've experienced, and it may not be my own personal experience because sometimes I pull from having conversation with a friend. If I can feel their genuine emotion, I could go back and write about what they told me, what they expressed to me, and kind of like put myself in their shoes and relive that story and just get it out on paper.
Oh, hey, wow. So what type of strategies do you use, when writing your poetry? Is it something that automatically comes when you're asleep, when you're awake, you know, pen and paper? What do you feel like the best strategy? A little bit
of everything. Okay. Daily I make it a goal to at least write something. So sticky notes. I have sticky notes all over my desk. Every day I have to at least write something, just because I've learned that with anything good there, you always have to practice. You're never perfect. You know, the greatest have had to practice. So I always just write something on a sticky note just to kind of get my mind going, get my day started. But honestly, things that pique me writing like a really good piece, anything. If the wind blows and, you know, caresses my skin just right, I'm gonna write about how I felt in that moment. If I'm out, I'm drinking and I have that moment where I'm kind of like lost outside of myself because, you know, I've drank too much, you know, I could write about that, you know, even if I'm drunk and I gotta write about it, you know. Sometimes if I smoke, you know, just being raw, like if I smoke and I'm there and I'm at that place of higher elevation, I'll write about it. Again, if I'm speaking to someone in conversation and I kind of pick up their vibe, I can write about that. If somebody makes me feel any type of way, I just take it and I write about it. I write about everything is a piece to be written about in my eyes. Just sitting here right now, I could write a piece about how I feel with the light here, camera looking at me, emotions running crazy, trying to say the right thing, make sure that I'm being authentic. Everything is a piece. It's just that easy.
And that's awesome. You are a walking brand.
Right.
I mean, you pretty much can do it at a drop of a dime. And we've actually saw you in action at one of the LUL magazine launch parties, which is what we recently had, and we want to say thank you again for doing that as well.
Course.
So many people enjoyed that piece, so thank you. Also, since some people may have missed a piece, and I always like to do this to you just because you know, that's just can you give us a small brief piece of one of your favorite poems?
Yeah, I can. I wrote this one not too long ago, but if I came in the form of bare feet, red bloodstained walls, and my inner emotions spilled out like spewing vomit, and I couldn't catch my breath, so I sat in this empty place surrounded by everything moving so fast. I got lost on a higher emotion as I turned the bottle of Patron up, thinking that somewhere in there I could find everything that I visioned before. Before the tears, before the heartbreak, before I even knew who I was myself. Just sitting in this empty, surrounded space, thinking to myself, if these bare feet could portray the blood-stained walls around me, then surely if I spoke up and let my outer emotion in, somebody would understand me, somebody would understand the cry for the inner person me, that's sin. It's a little something.
So, okay. Wow, and I think, I mean, you're quick on your feet. Thank you so much for that. I mean, that's deep, and I mean, a lot of people aren't good with expressing themselves. Now, would you say, in a normal day-to-day experience, it sounds like it's easier for you to express yourself when you're doing poetry, but are you like that just on a regular, you know, in a regular conversation? Does it come off so easy, or? It
depends. What I'm learning now, where I am in this space, is it's a little easier for me to be more transparent verbally. For the longest, I'm a very non-confrontational person, so when I'm going through stuff, if I don't have to talk about it, I won't. You know, I'm really learning that in this new journey, being more vocal about things, it's more true to me. But a lot of time I stonewall a lot. If I feel slighted, if I'm sad, if I get angry, I stonewall things and just go, I'm fine, I'm okay. It's not a bother. But then when I'm by myself and if I'm using my phone, if I'm writing, whatever, doing talk text to my watch, that's when I could really pour it out. And for me, the reason why I don't like doing it face to face with people a lot is because there's always that room for interruption. When I'm writing, doing talk text, putting it in my phone, nobody can interrupt my train of thought, my headspace. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So on my day-to-day, I do find that I am more stonewall, a little more sheltered. But again, like I said, in my new transition, I'm definitely trying to become more vocal and more transparent because I just want to be my best, truest self.
Wow, that's deep. I mean, I'm you know, stunned at words because I feel like a lot of people now in the world are trying to be able to show transparency as to who they are. And you know, big kudos to you for sharing, you know, a snippet of that, you know, on social media. You know, we got a chance to really see the start of that transition for you.
Right.
And so talking about transition, which a lot of people may not know. Let's talk about that. What do we mean when we say transition?
Okay, so I am one shot in to taking testosterone. So I will be transitioning. I am transitioning from female to male. A lot of people attack that thinking that the transition is more sex-based. For me, it's more based on who I am here. Growing up, I did the dresses, I did the nails, I tried the makeup, I tried all that stuff, but I've always identified dominant masculine. I've always referred to myself as a bro. I've always felt like I was a he, a him, a sir, mister. But to appease my family and, the views that I thought people would have of me, I kind of just always suppressed it. But it's been here. I don't feel like a woman. I'm not a woman, I feel like I was placed in this vessel to have this journey up until the point where I am now, and now it is time for me to evolve and become who I'm supposed to be. So I'm taking the testosterone. I've included my family in that. Going off on a tangent a little bit, and that I have lost my relationship with my mom. She doesn't agree with it. Her viewpoint is she gave me the life that I was supposed to have, and how dare I alter that. And that's been the only negative of this transition. Everyone else may not understand it, but they're on board and excited about me finally honing in on that happiness, that peace, that calming mindset that I've always searched for in my true self. So friends, co-workers, family, like everybody is just being extremely supportive of me becoming who I feel as though I'm destined to be.
Yes, and it's always about living the best life that you feel is fit for you. Now, you mentioned about your mom, and I know that's somebody that's been very close to you for a long time, and you've been up and down with the situation, and maybe confused yourself about how to bring that to her attention. Especially there's one thing where we tell our parents about our sexuality, but then there's this other thing where the transition is also an issue. Especially when people are unaware of why people decide to make those decisions. But again, it's about living your best life. Right. How did you take I know it had to be hard for you to hear certain things from your mom when you did share that deep issue, not necessarily issue, but that deepness of who you felt like you needed to be or who you are. How does that make you feel about the rejection that you got from her?
Honestly, I'm already kind of at a place in my life right now where things are very tough. So that was definitely another blow that kind of added to this current brokenness. It's a phase, but it hurt me to my core because we've gone through rough patches before. There was a time frame where I didn't speak to my mom for years after I came out and told her I was a lesbian. But I've always been so strong in my feelings that, if you don't like it, I'll see you, when you come around. And that's what happened. She came around and we mended our relationship. She saw that, regardless of the person who I was laying down to at night, I was still the same person. I was still her child. So I have hopes that that'll come around now. But, the hurt that I'm going through with that now is like I miss her so much, but I'm so angry with her. I forgive her. But I'm just so angry with the fact of like, you're leaving me hanging again. So it's the way I just pushed that to the side to be able to deal with it, honestly, was I called my father, and this man is the strongest man that I've ever met in my entire life. And not just because he's my dad, but because of the things that he's gone through and because of how he's made it work and to not settle for anything in life. And I was even afraid to tell my dad because regardless, to him, in his heart, I will always be his baby girl. And I kind of was fearful of telling him, about this transition because I know that as a man, that was going to hurt his pride a little bit to know that his daughter, you know, I get it. And I respect his space, but I called him literally in tears, boohoo crying. And I'm just like, Dad, I have to tell you something. I was trying to wait until I saw you face to face to tell you this, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you because I need to get some other stuff off my chest. So first and foremost, I am taking testosterone. I'm now going to be your son. I hope that you accept me and, you know, you still love me and push through this. And his words were just so comforting. He said, in my heart, you will always be my baby girl, but you're an amazing person and I want you to be happy. That's the only thing that's going to keep me happy, is knowing that as my child, you're happy. So boom, I was able to tell him that. We were able to get past it. And then I told him about the conversation with my mom, and, you know, he just made it so plain to me. I don't have to respect the way that I don't have to agree with the way that she feels about it. But just as I have to set the boundaries for people to respect my transition, I have to respect her feelings towards it. So when he said that, you know, it still stung because that's my mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it still stung, but it makes perfect sense because there are things that people do on a daily basis that we may not agree with, but that's their life and they have to live it, you know. And moving forward, if my mom doesn't want to talk to me, if she doesn't want to be involved in my life, like, she's going to have to live with that hurt, that grief of losing a child, because that's basically what would happen if we don't come back together and, you know, mend it. But I trust that with time and God, I feel like we'll get on that page. She just needs time to go through her emotions, her, you know, to figure out how she feels about it and to kind of grasp or to even tap into understanding why I'm doing it.
So with the process of healing, you know, after that conversation that you had, would you say that you're a very spiritual person, or religious person, or what would you consider?
I'm religious. I trust in God with my whole heart. I know that, you know, before I was even thought of, my life was planned. So that's kind of why I live with no regrets, because I trust God so much. You know, we've all been there. If we've been in church anytime, if you listen to the old folks say it, like, it was predestined. So my viewpoint of it is, everything that I'm experiencing, every thought that I'm having, every change that I'm making, these are things that God set in place for me to experience either way. So I love God. I love God. Like, that is my saving grace when I don't have anything else. Nothing, like, just nothing. Naked, alone outside, nothing. God is always with me. So I'm very religious, very spiritual, very in love with God.
Awesome. That's awesome to hear. So with the first shot, how did you feel?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I felt, it was like when people say they're on a roller coaster of emotions, you don't know what that feels like until you are really on that roller coaster. I was excited, anxious, I was nervous, I was scared, I was happy, like, just all of that at once. And it you know, I kind of went through a couple of emotions that day. Man, it was like I was sad in a sense of Cyncelia is gone. But then it made me happy to know that Cyn is being birthed. Like, my true self, Cyn is being birthed, and I don't have to hide anymore. I don't have to feel afraid anymore. Of course, you know, the vain things come in, like, okay, well, with my transition, you know, am I going to look crazy? You know, all these different things like that. I'm just trying to, you know, wrap my mind around that mental aspect of, you know, I don't want to be too feminine as a grown man. Like, you know, just different things like that you really think of as a human while you're sitting. But it was definitely like an emotional roller coaster. And then even a little bit after, I started noticing, you know, the differences in my mood swings. Like, 1 minute I'm fine, take the simplest thing, then I'm upset. Take the smallest thing and I'm, you know, sad, you know. And I was always one to be afraid to say that I cried, but I've had a few days where I've just really just had to cry and just push through, like just push through like everything.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who, you know, like myself, who is just now learning a lot more about, you know what I'm saying, that transition and the process that, you know, each individual who decides to go that route has to go through. You know, so what are you doing to prepare yourself for this new journey?
Oh man, so my eating has changed tremendously. I want to, in this journey, it's like basically starting fresh. So I want everything to be just clean. I did a detox just to get all the bad stuff out. I've been in the gym like crazy. I don't even want to say that I've been in the gym consistently for 30 days yet, and I've already lost 26 pounds.
Wow, congratulations.
I'm feeling lighter. Thank you. I'm feeling lighter. I have more energy throughout the day. I just feel good. I feel good about myself. I'm walking past mirrors now and I'm just like, okay, I see you, Cyn, coming through, boy. So like, I've been preparing like that, dieting, you know, praying, you know, honing in more towards God. Just trusting and just living in peace. That's the most important thing right now that is making the transition, is just being so sure in my peace with who I am and how I want to function and what I want to look like and what, you know, the image I wish for people to perceive me as.
Okay. Sounds good. You sound very confident and you sound very, you know, you're ready. Sounds like you're ready. Now, as confident as you are, anybody looking up to you, do you have any concerns about that? Whether it be somebody older, somebody younger, what are your concerns about that?
Honestly, I just want for people to realize that I'm human, you know. Everything that I say is not going to be perfect. Everything that I do is not going to be that thing that, you know, you want people to see at Sunday school. You know what I mean? Like, I'm human. I'm real. I'm authentic. And more importantly, I'm not this. A lot of times we get caught up on the outer appearance. Even now, when people see me, they're like, oh, thug with tattoos. Then I begin to speak and they hear how articulate that I am and they say, you know, maybe she got some sense about her life, you know? So when people look at me, I always want them to know that I am confident in me. And that I would want for anyone looking up to me to be confident in themselves, because that comes from within. Nobody can gift you your confidence. Like, that's something that you have to make, because believe it or not, there was a point in my life where I was not confident at all. I would hide behind any and everything, you know. And I went through a phase where it was just a dark place and I didn't have that confidence, you know. And it took me telling myself, you will be fine. You will get through this. You are going to get your degree. You can be the only female in your unit, you know, progressing and getting all of these medals, doing all of these great things. Like, that starts with you. You have to do that. Nobody can gift you that. You know, a lot of times we get lost in the image that we feel like we should have, or the way that people should view us, but it starts here. Like, you just got to be so true to yourself in order to continuously elevate. Because if you're not true with yourself, then you're living in vain. It's like on Snapchat, it's like you're living through a filter.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But once that filter is gone, then what's left?
Yeah.
You know, how do you stand by yourself?
That's true. Wow. I mean, that's deep. You're already deep with your words and your poetry, so just being able to hear you speak about your own life is always amazing. And that's a part of what Let Us Live is about. It's about people speaking their truth directly from the source, not from someone else writing their stories or from somebody else concocting, you know, something that they thought was about that individual. It's about allowing you, the person, to be able to speak your truth, be that voice for other people that may be going through the same thing. Do you have any people that you're looking up to right now while you're going through your transition?
I'm all over the place, honestly. There are a few pages on Instagram. I don't want to quote them wrong. You'll have to, I'll put up a post on my Instagram at some point with the guys that I'm following, but it's a melanin trans men. an Instagram page that I'm following right now, and it's so embracing because it's nothing but, you know, it says melanin, but it's actually everyone, anyone who has gone through the transition, people who are currently going through it, and then there are even people who are still where they are, but just looking for advice on how to get where they're going. And the thing that I love about it, so embracing, is because you don't have to be boxed in. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I'm loving. And it's crazy because just in following a few of these pages, I've gained followers. I've had people inbox me and say, you know, congratulations on your best truth. If you need help, I'll be here for you. Just different things like that. Like, I'm all over the place. Even in transitioning, like, I've found that, you know, there are women who I can still look to and pull that influential vibe for. You know, there are men that I can look up to. And, you know, it's crazy because it's actually a group of guys at my job who... In me coming out and telling everybody at work that I was transitioning, I was very afraid that, you know, this is a workplace, so now people aren't going to want to work with me. They're going to look at me different. But I've actually gotten the exact opposite. Nothing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so in the group of the morning coffee little sessions, going to get coffee in the morning at work, we have what is called Get CC with the Bro Code. So basically they tell me things that like men should know. Like the other day they made a joke because I had on black pants and I wore a brown belt, and they're like, oh, that's against the guy code. You don't do that. You wear a black belt with black pants. You don't mix it with the brown. Or they'll tell me, hey, you know, if you in the bathroom, don't look down at another man's privates because you might get beat up. Like, they just jokingly give me like the bro code. So that's been really good. You know, like I said, just having positive people in my life, period, is what is helping elevate me as a person. Pulling from different backgrounds and being able to hone in and tap on all those pieces of me.
Yeah, and it's good to have a strong support system. So I just want to say that's awesome, CC. I mean, you know, I know there's so much more to you, and you know what, that's the beauty of being able to capture moments like this so that way people can start to follow your journey. It's always good to not tell them too much, but just enough so that way they can understand who you are, which is very, very important. Now, before we finish, I just want you to leave everybody else with one of your best quotes. Give us a good quote that you may live by that you think may benefit our viewers right now.
Oh, yeah. So my favorite quote is actually in the magazine that I'm going to plug you guys into in a second. But I am too good of a person to be loved by someone who has never been passionate.
Wow.
I will live by that for the rest of my life. And that comes with friends, lovers, brothers, cousins, all of that. Like, I am too good of a person for someone who has never been passionate to try to love me. Like, you can't. If you have not gone through things and been broken and rebuilt yourself and, you know, experienced, like, I can't. I just can't.
Hey, that's truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People always ask us, the truth. And speaking on truth, you know, that was actually one of the well, actually, to be honest, you know, one of the magazines that we just launched recently for LUL magazine, the title of that issue was "If I Told You the Truth, Would You Still Love Me?"
Right.
So that was definitely a deep question. I feel like a lot of people overlook. And so I just wanted to know, what do you feel like LUL magazine means to you? What has it done for you?
Honestly, LUL magazine has definitely put the fire under me individually as a poet. Just watching the birth of LUL has really helped me tap into truth. How can I be on this platform, you know, motivating, interviewing, speaking with, you know, a plethora of people who are living their truth if I'm not tapping into mine? LUL has definitely been a saving grace. When I've been going through things, I can come and focus on the magazine and focus on other people getting where they need to go. And it kind of elevates me and puts me in a place of humbleness to know that you're not alone. It's taught me how to pull from different people, different backgrounds. Coming into LUL with the team that we have, wonderful team. Honestly, can't say that there are 3 or more people who have known each other for over a time frame of 10 years. But because we all have the same mindset, the same objective, we were able to just pull together and create this magnificent team, dedicated, all in. And being a part of that for me is just like, I might as well go hang out with Jay-Z. Like, I feel like I made it. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a beautiful team to be a part of. Wow. And then to watch, you as the owner birth this and, be so proud. Like, my proudest moment for people who were not able to be at the magazine launch, when, Dwayne got up and told his story, his truth, the tears that fell from his face as he looked around the room and just saw how, everyone was there supporting his dream and supporting themselves just by standing in unity, truth, love, diversity. Breathtaking. Like, wow. That is a moment that I will always keep with me.
Wow.
Wow. That is a moment that I will definitely always keep. And just to be a part of that is phenomenal. Like, wow. LUL has done that for me.
Wow, thank you so much. We appreciate that, and that's what we want to continue to do. And then, guys, even though you're watching the video, this is true.
Yeah.
Not just LUL, but we're also helping CC continue to push her brand and her vision, and her birthing this into the world will allow you guys to get to know her. Know him now, guys, because remember, and it takes time.
New.
It takes time, and it's a conversation, but this is where we are right now, and I'm just so glad to have been able to speak with you today and be able to just be open and honest. And thank you so much for just being so transparent and just so free. And if there is anything else that you think our listeners who may be going through this transition, guys, make sure you're following CYN. She's definitely motivational, dedicated, and she's an amazing individual. So other than that, is there anything else that you need to say, CYN?
Honestly, right now, I think we're good where we are. I have a YouTube page coming just to start off and actually invite people into the journey of CYN. Not only that, but I will be sharing more live poetry because I've been selfish. I just post little pieces or whatever, but I'm really in the process of getting my book together so that could be launched, so that everyone can get in on that, and just really tap into my mental stimulation. That's the most important thing. That's where I am. And with time, there will be more that'll come out, through my writing and speaking, with more live podcasts. My goal right now is to literally make sure all of my buckets are full. I'm a bucket person. Social, love, education, work, goals. Like, I have buckets that all have to be filled. And right now, I'm just at that peaceful place where all of the buckets are level. And the goal is to just become more authentic, more true, more raw, and to share my poetry with y'all, like more truth, so that you can live through my truth. You can speak up through my truth. That's my next goal. That's my goal. Like, just progress.
Well,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And last but not least, show them the magazine where they can find you at, so that way they can see the awesomeness of CYN. So
this is the official first launch LUL magazine. What you can do is you can submit any ideas, any stories that you want. You can go to www.lulmagazine.com, or you can email us at lulmagazine13@gmail.com. There's LUL Magazine 13 on Instagram. You can find things about LUL on my Instagram, which is the 5_CRR_poet. You know, a lot of things you'll see. We have a lot of team members. I don't want to put everybody out too fast before we get there, but definitely follow in. Every now and then we do these live podcasts and you able to jump in. That's the thing that I love about our lives, is because Instagram has made it so unique that now anybody can request to get in on our live and you can tell your story through there. So it's just more so about getting everyone's faces, everyone's voices, everyone's thoughts, and just capturing the real, because we get caught up in reality TV and it's all so fake and, you know, put up. But how are we really living? For everyday individuals, how are you really living? You know, we're not all famous. We're not all going to be billionaires, and, you know, that's okay. So right now where we are, how are you living? Tell us your story, submit it. If you even want to hit me in my DM and tell me about your story, I'm going to make sure it gets back to LUL and we'll take care of you. That is no doubt about that. Like, there's no other way but to make sure everyone's being heard and no one's overlooked. Period.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Cyn, for your time. And again, I know we can go on and on and on, but this was very, very important to us to be able to give back to you. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a good day.
I appreciate that.